Cool bean. Well, we are good to go.
All right.
And there I am on Facebook Live. Here we go. Well, thank you very much. This is Trevor Mickelson. I am so honored to welcome a power team here to talk about equality in the world of finances in regard to women. Women often make 30% or less in comparison to men. So the conversation today that we're going to be having is, why is that? And really what it is, it's about, we've got these myths, we've got all these mysteries, we've got these things going on in our heads that we really want to help you get over. So what I brought today, two wonderful women, Judy Hoberman, she is a TEDx speaker, national best-selling author. She goes into large financial institutions that are 95% men and 5% women. And her goal is to equalize the playing field for the workforce. And so she's been in the industry, the financial industry, for the last 30 years. And the information, holy cow! I mean, I've been in the finance and insurance industry for like 10 years now, and the stuff that I've learned is just really, really impactful. So I'm really excited that she can join us today. And Mara Simoneau, she is an executive vice president. She had of Five Rings Financial. She also has a company called Life Made to Order, and basically she's just an amazing inspiration. She launches these groups called Wine, Women, and Wealth all over the country. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to say, Judy Hoberman's company is called Selling in a Skirt. Maybe she'll get into the reason of why that is called Selling a Skirt. But Mara Simoneau, she goes around and she helps women who are in different careers, different opportunities, understand the value of being in the finance industry and the opportunity that exists, and help them get over mindsets. And it's really about education and overcoming the stuff that has been inputted into our heads. And what am I doing here? I am a guy. I'm a guy, and it's called Wine, Women, and Wealth. But there's this guy here, and what is he doing here? Well, flashback, just kind of, I was meditating about 6-8 months ago and just kind of thinking about my life and my why. I was listening to a lot of Simon Sinek and was going deep, and I realized all my best friends are women. In grade school, all the fights that I got into was over protecting my girls that were my friends. In my groom's party, there was a woman, and it all came down to, boop, my mom was the breadwinner of our family. She was really the only one that worked. My dad did side jobs. He got hurt. He was an artist. So my mom was it. And because of that, we lived a different lifestyle. Had my dad had that same job, had that same opportunity, we would have earned 30-40% more. And so stepping back, I realized, holy cow, this isn't just a women's equality issue. This is a equality issue that it affects both sides, especially now we're just to have a household that is functioning, and you have the finances that are needed to come in order to support a family. A lot of them are dual working households. And so if you have a woman who's making less, that just makes life harder. So really today we're going to be talking about equality, and I wanted to welcome and intro Judy Hoberman and Mara Simoneau into the conversation. Thank you so much for joining us and allowing this conversation to get started. So with that, today we're going to be talking about the money myths, money myths and mysteries unraveled. So Judy, I'm gonna shoot right in your direction. You've been in this industry a very long time. What would you say is the biggest myth that women have in their head about earning, making, success? What is that number one thing that you find?
The one thing that I really truly believe that women are believing and have believed is that they don't deserve to make the money that's out there. That they really believe that, it goes back to money is the root of all evil, or money doesn't grow on trees. It's these myths that you were brought up with. And when you get to be an adult and somebody says to you, you have the ability to earn 6 figures, I know for a fact when I was a managing partner, women would say to me, I shouldn't be making that kind of money, and I can't make more than my husband, and so on and so forth. And what I would say to them is, you do deserve to do this. And money is not the root of all evil. Money is the door that opens up opportunities, whether it's for your family or whether it's for your team or whether it's for giving back, whatever that might be, it's available to you. And to earn money means that you are giving something that's really important to others. And for that, you're getting paid to do this. Now, a lot of us like to be philanthropic, and I am, and I give back a lot, and I mentor a lot, and I don't charge a lot for, many different things. But I'm also a for-profit company. And so with that, going into this industry in particular, I learned a lot about the fact that if you do what you say you're going to do, and you help people that need to be helped, not just anybody and everybody, then we deserve also to get paid for that. And so there's a lot of myths that go around saying that, you shouldn't be doing this and you can't be doing this and you're not enough to do that and you're not old enough to do this and you're not good enough to do this or famous enough to do that, whatever that is. We have to take that out and say, why am I doing this? And I'll tell you honestly, truthfully, the reason that I went into this industry was because I knew nothing about it. I was a single mom. I saw an ad in the paper. I applied for the position, and I thought, well, this sounds a little interesting. I knew nothing about it. I didn't know I had to get a license. I didn't know I had to get paid. I had to pay to get a license, and I'm a single mom trying to figure this all out. But once I got it, it was a different ballgame. There were no more myths in my head about this because my one and only job was to protect my family. So if I could protect my family, why couldn't I protect yours? And so that's how I went into this industry. And when I started to earn money, I thought, wow, they're paying me to do something that I absolutely love. Now, can you imagine loving insurance and being excited about insurance? I mean, when I would make a phone call to book an appointment, people would say, I don't know what you're selling, but I need to meet you because you're so excited. And when I got there, all I did was talk about them and get their information, and they gave me their why. So it's a continuous cycle. And when you get the why, your why, their why, the myths around money start to disappear. Not overnight, but you start to see that you do deserve something. You're doing something so amazing for people. So that's my thing.
Just this week, Judy, I was running the Wine Women Wealth in Fort Collins, and that was exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about women and how so often we from a young age, we had this why deep inside of us. It was this drive that just said, oh my gosh, I would love to accomplish X, Y, Z. And a lot of women have huge goals. And it's not necessarily, I want $10 million in the bank for myself. It's oftentimes making an impact in some area of the world, some issue that's going on, really making a bigger impact. And what we were talking about is that money is what gives us the fuel to be able to do that.
Right.
And when we can get over ourselves and all of the garbage that we were told as we were growing up and say, you know what, why would I have come to the planet with this amazing vision if there wasn't some way I could accomplish it? Why do I keep living small? Why do I keep telling myself I have to stay small, not be seen, not be heard, when really, obviously, I was born with this innate desire to make a big impact? And when we can create that space for ourselves, we also are able to create that space for others. And we've talked about this before, but that's why we love working with women. Women have that ability to make generational change. You tell a guy the secrets of money, and he's going to run over here and hide them all and say, okay, in 30 years, I'll tell you what the secret was. I'm a millionaire and you're not. Women, tell a woman something, she's going to go tell her best friend, her aunt, her mom, her sister, her daughters, whomever, and that's what allows this message and the generational shift to happen so much faster.
Right, and don't you also think that if we don't share what we know, that it's a disservice to other people? I mean, if you and I were sitting opposite, I'm not going to use you because I don't want to put you in the equation. If I was sitting opposite somebody who had cancer and I had the cure for cancer and I didn't share it with that person, isn't that a disservice? Well, it's the same thing. If I knew how to help you earn money to do, to have that opportunity to open up doors or to support your family or whatever your why is, am I not doing a disservice by sharing it with you? Of course, you can't hide that for 30 years because there's so many things that we can do. Just, if you think about everybody that's on this call right now, think about the fact that if each one of us affected one person who affected one person who affected one person, I mean, exponentially, that's what it is. Last year I said I wanted to help one woman a day, just one woman. And people would say to me, well, what about 10? What about 100? What about 1,000? I said, no, I want to help one woman a day. If I helped you, then you're going to help one woman a day. And then you're going to help one woman a day. Can you just imagine what that looks like? It's the same thing when you do Wine Women and Wealth. If you helped one person in that circle, just one person who went out and said to her mom and her aunt and her cousin and sister and whomever, again, if you think about it and, visually like a flow chart, just imagine the impact that we would have on not only this country, but globally. Because if there's anybody that's not from Colorado on this call, we've already impacted another state. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm in Texas, Renee's in Florida, someone's in Virginia. So there's 3 states plus Colorado. You have 4 states already having some impact because they're hearing something that might change the way that they view money or they view the myths about money. And also, Trevor, one thing that you said, like, why a guy? Do you not think that men are champions of women? Think about what's in the news right now and then take it out of your head for a moment. It's important, but it come back in with the men that really champion women. We need men. We need men to sponsor us. We need men to champion us. We need the men, but they have to have the same message that we have and try to push that along because that's also very influential.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I do love about the Wine Women and Wealth program is that I've launched a few and I'm the waiter at the back. I'm pouring wine and, they look at me and they're like, well, what is this guy doing here? And I'm like, well, I'm actually the champion for these women who are starting these groups. We're helping training. We're funding it, to help starting up. And we're doing a lot of things for these women. And I'm saying, well, and I'm also training them and helping them on the financial background and answering questions and running appointments and doing all these things. And I was blown away. I've never seen anything like this. And you talk about generational change versus just in 5 minutes. Guys will take months or years for that feedback to come back of, yeah, I think this is a good program. I think we should do something about this. Women are like, holy cow, this is what I've been asking for. This is what I've been praying for. This is what I've been crying for. This is what exactly. But because nowhere else can they get the support. Can they get feedback? Can they get accountability? Because what I see as a guy is women bashing each other of, oh, you want to be successful? No, you come back down with us. You want to make more money? No, you're not supposed to. You come back with us. And what I see about Wine Women Wealth is everybody's helping each other rise above and allow that. And that's truly what we need is women inspiring women, men inspiring women, men inspiring men, and women inspiring men, and everybody just saying, hey, we can all do this. Because if we keep disallowing women from making equal that men do, it just is the cyclical loop of everybody's chasing their tail. And that's what I love about the finance industry is it's an equal playing field. I make 10 calls, you make 10 calls as a woman. I get 10 appointments, you get 10 appointments. And at the end of the day, we can make the exact same. And what's great about, and Judy, I think is what attracted her to this conversation is 5 Rings, our company, is 65% women. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to get all these really large, massive companies to shift like a Titanic in a swimming pool. We're already doing that and allowing these Wine Women and Wealth groups just to start up and really at a grassroots level shift that mindset. And I've been to these launch of these Wine Women and Wealth, and they come in and they've got this negative mindset and what are you going to sell me and this and that, and then they realize very quickly it is about helping to overcome that mindset and the allow a new money mantra into their mind and allow them to understand that they do deserve wealth and they can make as much or more than their husbands and whatnot. So, with that, Mara it was magical when I saw her lead these Wine Women Wealth. And a lot of it is really just the negative information that has been instilled in your head from grandma to mother, to mother, to mother, to mother, to mother, to mother. And then it's just handed down she says it as a gift of, hey, this is our legacy of the trash that was in my head, and I'm going to put in your head. So Mara, what are some of those negative money mantras that you often see in these women's heads that you help shift and allow them to reach the success?
One of the main conversations that we have at Wine Women and Wealth is around how money has become one of those, or probably always has been, a taboo subject. It's almost worse than talking about sex, religion, or politics. And Nobody wants to talk about money. If we can't talk about money, how in the world are we supposed to know what to do with it? And that's where all of us get stuck. I think the most powerful thing about getting a community of women together is that it's all about how it's once we can open those doors and have that conversation, it shifts everything, because we are totally approaching things in a different way. We're saying, hey, I'm not willing to allow this to be a taboo subject anymore. I want this to be different. I want this to be something that I'm comfortable having this conversation around. And when we do that, that's when we can start to make a shift in the stories that we tell ourselves. So a lot of times it's about analyzing what the experiences we usually had as a kid, and then what that means to us today, and why we don't want to believe that anymore. Like, why have I been telling myself this terrible story this whole time? Why don't I tell myself something different? We can choose to tell ourselves anything. Why do we keep repeating the same old garbage? That's where we really want to shift.
Right, but if you think about, you just said something, I mean, you say a lot of things that are important, but you said something that's really, really important, Mara, because it's something that actually has taken place from when we were little. And why is that? Why is it that we are doing things? Mine is on. Okay, there it goes. It was on. One of the things is it's because that's the way we've always done it. And if you go back and have you ever heard the story about the little girl and the Christmas ham? She asks her mom, why do you cut off the ends of the Christmas ham? And the mom said, because that's the way your grandmother did it. So she goes to the grandmother and she said, so why do you cut off the ends of the Christmas ham? And she said, because that's how your great-grandmother did it. So she goes to the great-grandmother and she said, Mommy said that you always cut off the ends of the ham. Grandma said you always cut off the ends. Why do you cut off the ends? And she said, because it won't fit in the oven. Okay, so those things come down, and sometimes they're not appropriate anymore. Like, do you remember growing up and your mom would say to you, clean your plate? You have to clean your plate, always finish your food. Well, now, we have this obesity syndrome here in the States. And why is that? Because everybody's eating. Well, that doesn't even make sense anymore. Maybe it's, eat the healthy things or prepare healthy things. It's the same thing with money. And one of the things I love about Five Rings is the fact that you educate people. You don't just say, you need to do this. You need to be part of us. You educate people before they're even thinking about being part of Wine, Women, and Wealth or Five Rings, because I sat through Andre's class. I sat through the Money 101, and I was blown away. Even though I've been in the industry for such a long time, there were things there that I had no clue even existed. So if we're not open to learning, then you're not open to changing your mantra, then you're not open to earning money, you're not opening to opportunity. And I think that that's an important part, that you really do the education part of it. And that's the same thing when you go out and you're with a client. If you don't educate them on the why, why is it that what you're offering them works for them? And if it doesn't, then you walk away. I always tell people, leave people the way better off than they are, or leave them alone. But that's what I'm saying. It's about education. And as we educate women about the myths, and as you educate them about money, that's what people are searching for, especially women. We want to learn. We want to be better. We want to be able to say, wow, I didn't know that. I'm not afraid to say I didn't know anything about, the money factors that Andre was talking about. I didn't. And now I do, and I'm like, wow, that is pretty interesting. So that's you have to think of that part of it, because it is about education. We are in 2018, and we still have these ridiculous things about money. Why is that? Because nobody's open to sharing their experiences. That to me is what it is. You have to be open, you have to be able to educate, and you have to be able to receive the information that you're hearing.
And having these conversations makes it so that everybody realizes they're not the only one.
Absolutely.
There's so much guilt and shame around it, around money, because you think, oh my God, how did I get all the way to 40 or 50 or 60 years old and I still don't know anything about money? And you start thinking there's something wrong with you, and then you get together with a group of people, whether it's at a Money 101 class or a Wine, Women, and Wealth, and you realize that you're not the only one. And that's the best way to break the chain of miscommunication around money, is realizing I'm not the only one. I'm sick and tired of not knowing, and now I feel okay asking questions, because that's really what we're going for. as long as somebody's okay saying, hey, I don't know everything and I need help, that's the very first step. Then we can start looking at, okay, what is the garbage story that you were told when you were growing up that you keep telling yourself, and how can we shift that? How do we change that to a totally different conversation? In my scenario, it was watching my dad work really, really hard. He worked 80 hours a week. We barely got to see him. He made six figures, but he was exhausted all the time. So as a little kid growing up, what I learned was you can make money, but you're going to be tired and you're going to feel like you're going to burn out. And when I was in my 20s, that was what I did. Early 20s, I was running a construction company with my dad, and it took 2008 and losing $40,000 in my 401k and realizing how tired I was to say, is this really how I wanted to live the rest of my life? Is there a different way that I could be approaching my career and finance and my financial situation and as a whole?
Yeah, and one of the other things about that is also about like preparing to retire. You know, if you think about it, we should be preparing to retire when we're in our 40s. And so what is it about money that we don't even want to talk about that? And I'll tell you something funny. When my husband, I call him the Colonel, but when the Colonel and I got married, I mean, we've only been married 5 years. So this was not the first rodeo for either one of us. But, because I do a lot of speaking, the local TV station had asked, would I do a segment with him about retirement? Now, we had just gotten married, maybe, I don't know, a few months. So guess what talk we didn't have? We didn't talk about retirement. We talked about lots of other things, but not about retirement. So here we are sitting on camera, on TV, live TV, and they asked the question, so what's your retirement look like? And I'm thinking, oh crap. You know, here I'm an entrepreneur. He's a retired colonel. He's very structured, and he said, well, you know, I have the military, this, and I have this, and I have this, and here's what we're going to do, and blah, blah, blah. And then they looked at me, and I went, I'm an entrepreneur. I fly by the seat of my pants. And everybody laughed, and when the segment was over, I said to him, we probably should talk about this, you know, because I think that another thing that we don't talk about is we don't talk about money, but we also don't talk about the future of money. Like what are you prepared for? So, you know, when you're in this kind of industry, yeah, you can make a lot of money, but it's, you know, you can make money, but you can also lose money because, you know, it can go right through your hands. And so you have to decide how important is it for you to continue what you're doing and be able to retire without thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be homeless. You know, and that's a horrible feeling. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be homeless 100%, but maybe partially. I don't know. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. You know, so when you're involved with education and you're involved with changing the money craziness in your head, that also changes. And so retirement is not a scary thing. I mean, I actually do know some of the things we're doing, but some of the things I don't care about because I've always been told, you know, don't worry about it. You don't have to tell anybody how amazing you are. They'll figure it out. And don't go after the money. And then on the flip side, it's just as easy to love a rich man as it is a poor man. You know, like all those things that you're thinking like, oh my God, like what am I supposed to listen to? So you try to find people that will have this conversation that you can say, oh, that's me. Okay, that's me. And how do I, you know, tack on to these people that are willing to give me information and continue.
Has anybody on this call in high school or college, did anybody ever take any personal financial education class, like how to Money 201, how to manage a money like a millionaire? Anybody seeing? I think one individual, one person, two, maybe one, two. What was, Jeanette, what was your experience like? I'm trying to unmute you. What was that? What was that?
Oh, I took a personal finance class in college because I never really, my ex-husband was really bad with money. I didn't ever want to be in a situation where I didn't have what I needed, so I knew I had to take care of myself. So I started at a very young age saving, and I just wanted to make sure I was doing the right things and covered correctly. So
you actually had to go seek it. It wasn't given to you.
No. I looked for it.
Very interesting. And then Renee, did you say you had financial education? What was that like?
Yeah, it's interesting. I took a, Dave Ramsey class where it was, talking about planning and financial, just personal finances. But, I was never really taught how to put it into action. It was a lot of theory. And, it took me for many years to really get my hands on it and understand really what a lot of it meant. So it was still something I wish I would have learned much earlier, and also figured out ways to put into action right away.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and that's really, I think, more what this conversation is about, is just really the lack of financial education that is out there,
Mhm.
and you have to go seek it. It doesn't find you. You have to go. Like for us, my wife had a major medical situation at age 26, and we lost everything, and that's what caused me to go down that road of looking for information. I was low income growing up. My mom was an accountant, but she didn't really teach me anything. My wife's father is a CPA. He owns his own CPA practice. I don't know if it wasn't that she wasn't interested or that information really didn't trickle down, but it just seemed like it wasn't readily accessible in the family. It was more just kind of a taboo subject, as Mara was talking about. So I couldn't get the information. She didn't get the information. And it's just interesting how it's really hard to find financial education as a whole. It's just not out there. And unless you go out there with a pickaxe and your shovel trying to dig and find it, it's really not out there. And as Renee was saying, it's not very easy to understand. And I think that's really where this conversation comes down to, is when you have the correct mindset, the conversation about money, the logistics, what is compound interest, what is time value of money. Well, I'm not going to be able to understand that anyway, because women aren't good at math. Women aren't good at money, and I'm not supposed to do this stuff. But you switch that in your head, and I love Wine, Women, and Wealth, because that's what they attack, that mindset, and saying, no, let's get that mantra, which I hope Mara will take a quick second on how she teaches people to change their money mantra from going of I'm not supposed to do this to I can do this. Well, now, oh my gosh, compound interest is so easy to understand, where before that switch was flipped down, so the information just couldn't get in, and it didn't. People just don't think that they're worthy of that information. And so, Mara, I would love to kick it over to you. What's the easiest way that you help people change that mindset?
When we're working with changing I call it the money soundtrack. A lot of times as we're growing up, we see things, we hear things, our parents might fight about money behind closed doors and think we didn't know what was going on. Have these different experiences, people make comments. You might have grown up in a particular religion that had stories about how people that were rich weren't good people, all sorts of different pieces. And we have very impressionable brains when we're young. And that sort of creates this song that starts playing in our head, which I call the money soundtrack. And the very first piece we have to have is a realization around the fact that this song is even playing. It's been there for so long. You know how you go to Disneyland and you go in It's a Small World and it's stuck in your head forever and ever and ever and ever. You can't get It's a Small World out of your head. Now all of you are going to have It's a Small World stuck in your head.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the same thing. And then it's been there so long, you don't even realize it's playing. The very first step to replacing that money mantra or the money soundtrack with a new anthem or a mantra is to realize that song's been playing forever. And girl, come on, you're already however old you are, and you're not in charge of the song that's playing. So what we want to do is first realize, wow, I really don't like this song. Really don't. Why do I keep listening to it? And then we start replacing. The most powerful money mantras are a direct replacement of the crap that we grew up with. So in my particular case, the garbage I grew up with was you have to work really, 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 really hard for money. And yes, you can make money, but it means that you're going to suffer, have health issues, never see your family, and be exhausted all the time. For me, I had to rewrite that particular story because that was the most powerful piece of that money soundtrack for me. And in order to make an impact, I had to replace it directly. So it went from I have to work really, really hard to, what sort of experience would I like to have around money? And for me, the first time I did it, I wanted it to be simple. So I said, money flows easily to me and through me. Anybody see a problem with that?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of money showed up, lots of money flowed through. So I said, oh, this thing works. I've got to get more specific. So I said, money flows easily and effortlessly to me, and with it I honor myself, my family, my business, my community, and my causes, and the surplus flows out and blesses the world. And that became my money mantra, and I've been living that way for the last 3 years, and it is absolutely amazing how that actually shifted my experience with money. But I had to figure out what that original story was, that original song that was playing, and then replace it with something that I wanted to be more powerful, that I wanted to be my experience. Because we're going to believe something. We're going to read something. Some song is playing. It's whether or not we're the one that chose it.
So what about if you did like a progressive statement? What about if you're not ready to take you go from I can't do this to I can, and sometimes that you have to make it progressive. So what if I'm in the process of opening opportunities where money can come into my life, or something I'm in the process of, and then going right into what you said and make it so positive. Because sometimes we think like, well, if we just can't go from A to Z, because we have to have that little piece in the middle. So maybe we do a little progressive statement, get used to that, and then go right into something as powerful as what you said. So you start to realize that you are deserving of this, and it's not just the money, it's your family, it's your philanthropy, it's all these other things. And by the way, anything that's left over, we're going to give back to communities or whatever. So I just think that
I love that, Judy. I always tell women, all you need to say is something like, I have the skills that I need to be able to get the information that I need to make great decisions. That's right. A great place to start.
Yeah, so that's how you do it. I mean, I always have to be very careful, because you don't want to say, I'm going to try, I'm going to do. You're going to do whatever it is you're going to do. So I say, and this was somebody else's mantra, and he said to me, absolutely use it. I'm whole, I'm healthy, I'm abundantly wealthy. And that's what I say before I go to sleep, because then I can think about it, and your brain processes it while you're sleeping, and when you wake up, you're ready to go for the day, and things will show up because you're constantly saying that. I'm whole, I'm healthy, I'm abundantly wealthy. It's not saying that you have money. It isn't saying that. It could indicate it's money, but you're wealthy. There's a lot of different definitions for wealthy, and as women, it's not only about the money. It is a lot about what we can do with it, but we also want to be able to share our brilliance, and that's very wealthy. We wrote a book. I had 25 other women and myself. We wrote a book called Pure Wealth, and I asked every single one of them what wealth meant to them. What was pure wealth? And while many said money, many others didn't say that. They said things that, I have opportunities to help people. I wanted to build a hospital in, a third world country. All these other things that indicate that you want to be wealthy. So that's, all the things that you listed, Mara, is all about being as pure as wealth. And there's money in there. So don't be afraid to want it and take it and receive it, but you have to be definite about not having it go right through you either. It's like losing weight. You don't want to lose weight. You want to replace it. You want to get rid of it because you don't want it coming back, so that's what I do.
Beautiful. Well, and that's something that I've learned a lot hanging around with the Wine Women and Wealth crew, is that I have my own money mantras soundtrack that I played, and I wouldn't say it's a small world after all. I'm not quite sure what the song is, but it wasn't good. I'll just say that much. It was, I lived in a very small town, and the only option was get a good education and get a good job. But everybody in the town that I was said, I'm just a skateboarding punk, and I'm not ever going to achieve anything. And don't ever talk to my daughter, because you're the bad boy in town, or whatever it is. I'm not quite sure. But I had all these people in the area that I was living in, basically just putting me down, saying I'm not worth it. I'll never be worth it. And so I found myself always just working really hard, because then there's that other aspect of the male voice coming down and saying, well, you're supposed to be the provider, you're supposed to be successful, you're supposed to be all dark, handsome, and quiet, you're not supposed to talk about your functions, to talk about your emotions. That a father figure is really not supposed to be present, they're supposed to be at work providing. And so with this whole dynamic of this conversation, I love that women are so open to going, well, there's the song, and that's the one that I want, and I'm going to trash that one right now. And guys are very just, well, no, this is the way it's always been, and this is the way it's going to be. And so women, this is a plea for help. We need help. Men are very emotional. We do have emotions. We just don't know how to tap into them. We want to be better dads. We want to be better husbands. We want to be better role models. But really, we're not good enough role models. We probably were back, 200-300 years ago, because it was feast or famine. I mean, or it was either go out and succeed or everybody perishes. But now that's just not the way it is. And so to have the mindset of, well, we have to go out there and take these jobs, or our families aren't going to be able to survive. Well, it is different. Just like Judy was saying about the ham being cut. Why are men doing this as well? And for me, my money mantra, or the soundtrack in my head, was, I'll never be good enough. I'll never be where I'm supposed to be. I'll always be behind, and I'll never be successful. And realizing that's not going to get me good. That's not going to get me anywhere at all. It's not going to help my kids. It's not going to help my wife. It's not going to be a benefit of society. So going through the same processes that Mara taught me, because in Wine, Women, and Wealth, you can take that information and also spread it out and be this shining light for the world, in your office, in your church, in your community, teacher-parent interactions, whatever, with your kids also. And what I've learned from Mara, and taking that gift that was given to me by society, my parents, everything, and replacing it almost with the inversion of, I am enough, I'm exactly where I need to be, and in every way, everything is getting better and better, or every day in every way, everything is getting better and better. And so these things that I've learned, I couldn't have got from men, because there's no guys out there talking about it. No. And I went out seeking for this information, and I just haven't found any better place to find information. So the women who are on this call, go out and help other women, like Judy, helping other women, but also help your men too, because we also need help, because society is telling us, don't talk about your emotions, don't suppress everything, and don't talk about these conversations at all, because man up. Yeah. And I think that's detrimental to both of the sexes as well. So as a call for help, your men need you.
Well, and the other thing is, I always talk about the differences between men and women, and to use the differences as assets, not liabilities. And so with that, I mean, the things that you struggle with, but there's also these things that you are really good at. The same thing with women. There are things we struggle with for things we're really good at. So imagine if you took the two differences and you formed the assets, and you became, the communication lines were open. And now you're able to take the best of both and present it. I mean, that's really what it's about. Yes, it's all about, we talk about women all the time, but again, I have to go back and say, we also need the men that champion us, because men are at the level in many companies. Men are at the top of many, insurance and financial companies. Men are, a lot of them are the CEOs or the hiring manager, whomever, a lot of them are. And so we need their expertise. They got there somehow. And if they're the wrong person, then you don't ask for their help. But I think that we also have to remember that there are two different ways that men and women think. Our brains are different. The way we ask questions are different. The way we answer are different. What we want is different. But if we take those differences and we use them for the best part, I think that there's room to even educate more people, more men, more women. And while Wine, Women, and Wealth is really for women, imagine if the women took it home to their spouses and said, guess what I just learned today, right? I mean, I think there's that little tiny thing that we shouldn't ignore, is because that's another way of changing generations, changing cultures, changing things by sharing what you know.
Absolutely. Because if you've got a woman who is inspired, learning all of this information, goes to a Wine Women of Wealth, I think we have like 80, 90 locations across the country. My goal in the next 5 years is to create 5,000 of them. So if you do know of any women who like to take over a program and just plug in, we've got everything rip-roaring ready to go for these communities in rural or major metropolitan areas. But just to have that information where okay, women are changing, but the men are the anchors. And where we're same place generationally, because they'll see, well, women wants to change, men aren't changing. And what do the kids see? Well, the kids see that difference in conversation, and those fights keep going on because women want to change and men are the same. But I think we all want to de-stress about money. I think we all want to be relaxed. I think we all want to be in this abundance mindset instead of the lack and disparity. And I think that women have a better chance at making this happen. And, you know, you see numbers around in statistics, but in 5 years, women are going to have 63% of the wealth due to divorce and widowship. And the financial industry is 95% men. And well, if the financial industry is still that high percentage of men, but women have the money, we're still in the same situation that we are today, because men are leading the direction of the way that the financial decisions are made, which is unfortunate. And the same thing in the household. If the women have the voice, the men are the anchor, well, then we're still going the exact same place. And so we can look at this as a top-down approach. We can look at politics, and we can look who is in leadership, and we can say, well, you, or then we can say, well, let's be the example that we want to see in the world, and allow the houses to change the communities, and the communities to change the cities, and the cities to change the states, and the states to change the country, and the country to change the world. And really the changes happen on such a singular and dual, couples and individuals is so much easier to implement and influence other individuals around. And that's why I look back at my client list, and it's 90+% women. And I love those conversations that we can have and the changes that we can just implement really quickly, because they've been asking for it. They've been wanting for it. They've seen their mothers and their grandmothers struggle with this. And finally they have an opportunity to do it. And, you know, guys have generally had the leg up, and you know, to really focus on that, we can really make some strong effort. I'm really, really excited about what it is that we're doing. And I'm looking at the time, and I know we can all probably talk about these subjects forever, but we have a lot of questions came in. We had over the past few weeks, we had a lot of people register, and we think it would be a good time to kind of transition to these. So what I saw, and Mara and Judy definitely chime in on this, but there was really three themes about the questions and also the concerns. And if you do have any main limiting beliefs about money that you'd like to overcome, please chime in right now on the chat, which is down at the bottom of the Zoom, or if you have a question that you'd like us to answer live. But from what from what I saw about the main belief is that money is bad. There's never enough, and I don't deserve it. And I think that we've really honed in on a lot of those topics, and it really comes down to mindset, getting a support system and accountability, and knowing that you're not alone. Knowing that you're not.
Right. I think that this is a good point for Mara to also talk about, like, number one, why did you form Wine Women and Wealth? And number two, what's the real purpose of it? And number three, how did it like go from one to so many so quickly?
Great question. It was a girlfriend of mine actually that started Wine Women and Wealth. She started it out of necessity. She had started her career in finance in Colorado. Ended up watching her clients lose a lot of money in 2001, had a stomach ulcer, a bald spot on the back of her head from pulling out her hair, because she was so distraught about it. She was ready to leave the industry. Happened upon meeting one of the founders of Vibrant Financial. Loved what we do. And then her husband went and got a job in California. So she thought, oh, crud, now I have to go build my business all by myself in a state where I'm alone. she got there and she only knew her male dog, her husband, and her brother-in-law, and thought, oh, I need to meet some girlfriends. And if I talk about money, then we could write it off. And I love wine, and so I want to find other women that love wine. So it was sort of out of necessity that she created this group, and I was lucky enough to start working with Denise as the group had been around about 3 years or so. And she and I really had a vision for being able to grow that, and at the time our company was growing and more women were coming on board. So what we did is we started basically launching these groups everywhere where we had a woman who said, hey, I want to run Wine Women in Wealth. We would teach and train. Denise wrote a great curriculum based off of some different books written by women about how women relate to money. And the purpose of it was to create a community of women supporting each other, both in their careers, in their personal lives, and around money. And I think that that's the piece. Is we look at money as a component of everything else that's going on. Often we talk about our time, how time feels like a limited resource. The stories we tell ourselves about our bodies or how we show up. It's so much more than just talking about should I buy this stock or that stock or how should I invest. It's how can we build a community of women who are invested in each other, both from helping them grow their business. We've had women come to events that were unemployed, looking for a job. By the time they came back the next month, it was a monthly community. They already had a job. They've got connected from somebody else who knew somebody else. And that's really the purpose of Wine Women in Wealth, is to build that community of women who are willing to have this conversation, who are willing to take the conversation home, whatever home looks like, whether it's with a spouse, a partner, kids, no kids, mom, sister, brother, roommate, whomever, and start having this more open conversation so that we can get over the fact that everybody still thinks money is a taboo subject. We all have to deal with it, folks. Every day we're spending, saving, moving, doing something with money, making money every single day. So we've got to get to that point where we're comfortable with it. And that's really where Wine Women in Wealth came from. And the growth of Wine Women in Wealth across the country, plus now the live streams that we're doing twice a month, it's a testament to the fact that people are and women are open to this conversation. We just have to get the word out.
So with that said, when you do the Wine Women in Wealth, the 3 topics that Trevor said, that the questions that came in, which we've all seen the questions, you do address about deserving money, about the money mantras, and about not having enough. So you want to just carry us out, because we're going to run out of time soon, but talk about that from Wine Women in Wealth's view.
The great thing with Wine Women in Wealth is that it is an ongoing conversation. So the idea is that we get into the beliefs, we start opening up that conversation of what is it that I believe, what stories am I telling myself, and by having a community where you come back month after month, whether it's online or in person, it has a level of accountability, because the next month we're going to be talking about something else and something else that builds on that. And I think that's what allows these shifts to really happen, is once you realize you're not the only one, which is a huge piece, then you start getting comfortable with, okay, now I can ask my questions. Then you get comfortable with, well, my spouse has questions too, so I need to bring them in on this conversation. We just worked with a couple, as an example, in Fort Collins, Colorado, and she actually came to Wine Women in Wealth, then she came to Money 101, then she said, I want you to meet my husband. We just got married a year ago, and we've never talked about money. He has his money, I have my money, but we're scared to death to talk about it because of past experiences. And it's been really neat to be able to work with them, because they're a couple now that are very comfortable talking about money, and they're planning on having kids. Now they're going to be able to take that and have that conversation with those kids as those kids grow up. And I think the other piece is that we have women that come to the event that are from all different stages of life. And so we're able to start getting rid of some of the shoulding that we do on ourselves. That's SHOULD. I did not cuss at you. Women have this tendency, and it sounds like Trevor was sharing, that men have the tendency to should all over themselves. I should have done it differently. I shouldn't do this. I should be doing this.
All the time.
All the time. We can all just deal with the fact that we're shooting all over ourselves and stop it already and figure out how we can just show up, learn from our past, and move forward and create a space where other people can do the same thing. We're going to make a huge impact.
Absolutely. Do you want to talk about like the strategy question, strategy sessions that we can open this up to everyone?
Yeah, one of the things you can kind of see from those of you who are participating today, you can see the different approaches that Judy and Trevor and I have. And one of our goals was to offer a strategy session to each person that attended. We want to take 30 minutes with everyone and help dial in on your number one question or number one limiting belief around money, whether it's rewriting a money mantra, helping put together a budget, helping figure out what's that next step towards saving. We want to meet you where you're at. So we created a strategy session sheet that you can fill out. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. And that will give us a chance to get to know you a little bit more, what you're looking for, what you're trying to accomplish, and then that will help us to be able to pair you with the right person. You'll work with either Trevor, myself, or Judy, and have that chance for us to walk you through that. So I've just shared that in the chat. It'll also come out in an email as soon as we're done here today. And we would love to hear from you. We would love to know how we can support you, what you're looking to accomplish in your life, how we might be able to collaborate. So if you'll let us know and fill that out, we would love to spend some more time with each and every one of you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And does anybody have any questions? This has been great. I could do this all the time. And in fact, I hang around Mara as much as I can just to glean and get and fill myself with a lot of positivity, and I need all the help I can get. And so we'd like to open it up. Does anybody have any questions about the topics that we had today, or future topics that you'd like to hear about also? So feel free to chat it, raise your hand, we'll unmute you. If you can unmute yourself, I think. Also, we'll spotlight you and ask your questions. Anybody? Not seeing any hands waved. Well, great. Well, we're really excited. We're really honored that you took Saturday morning, an hour out of your time to connect with us. As a special announcement, we also are going to be opening a brand new Wine, Women, and Wealth in Boulder. Yes, so excited. Valentine's Day.
Ooh.
Valentine's Day. So excited about that. And my wife, she's going. I'm very excited about that. It's like, well, honey, we always do Valentine's Day on like a Monday or an off day so that we don't have to race the crowd. And I found so many other couples that do that. And I'm like, well, ladies, just go to the Wine, Women, Wealth. So it starts at 6 o'clock. It's at the Studio, which is a co-working space off of Frontier Avenue in Boulder. The address is 3550 Frontier Avenue, Suite A2. So if you're in the area or you know somebody that's in the area, love to meet you in person. I'll be the guy in the back pouring the wine. And Mara will be up there leading the show, helping all of your community, all of your wonderful women change not only their mindset,
and we're
but then
live streaming too. So anybody who's not there can jump on Facebook or they can jump on Zoom.
Very cool. I love technology. So, well, thank you so much. Judy, thank you. We've been having these conversations about this webinar for a few months now. This is our third webinar. Really excited to get all these women inspired to take actions inside of their mind and then out in their communities. Thank you so much, Mara, for allowing myself to have the opportunity to learn from you and inspire other women throughout our community and throughout our country. I so appreciate you both, of your experience and your words of wisdom and the changes. I just can't get enough of both of you and the inspirational activities that you do on a day-to-day basis. You both inspire me. So thank you so much. If anybody has anything to say, well, I guess can we unmute everybody? Can we do that? Let's do that. I don't know how to do that, but let's unmute and we'll all get to say goodbye.
Everybody's unmuted.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.